Good evening, everyone. I'm so glad to welcome each of us here to the first event of Beckn Open Collective. I'm Shweta Rao, a volunteer for the collective, just like each one of us here. Beckon is all about beckoning a new beginning. And here's a new beginning wherein we have taken the first step with each other to understand what really is the essence of this collective and how each one of us can play our part to kickstart the new digital wave in India. Before we begin, there are a few house rules for this meeting. I'll quickly walk you through them. We'll all follow the talking stick model, wherein only one person will talk at a time. The moderator, which is me in this case, I'll be calling out one person who, as per the order in which we raise our hands. And if you have any questions, please drop them on a Google form. I'll share the link to the Google form here. We want to make sure to answer all of your questions, but in case we don't have time, I want to make sure that we recorded the questions that you may have, and we will make sure to respond to them after this call. Here's the link to the form. In case you're not able to access it, please do let us know. And we'll also be conducting an AMA session where all of the question and answers will be answered. So let's make sure to drop any questions that you have on this questionnaire. We'll either get back to you personally, or we'll also answer them during the AMA. And through this meeting will also be held under the Chatham House rule, where any information received may be consumed, but neither the identity or the affiliation of the speaker or any other participant may be revealed. And this is an open community fundamentally, so no ownership or royalties will be held by any contributor on any contribution made. While we kickstart this meeting, we'll start with the journey of Beckon, how far Beckon has come, and we'll talk about what is the idea of Beckn Open Collective and what do we mean when we say we're a part of Beckn Open Collective. Let's get to know more about that today. And we'll also walk you through how each one of us can contribute to this open community. After which we'll also onboard and we'll tell you a lot of things that will help you get started with contributing to Beckn independently as well. And towards the end, we'll also have some time for questions. So before we come to the journey, like when we say Beckon, it really is a synonym for accessibility, wherein consumers, providers, platforms access each other equally with no controlled interventions being forced upon any of the players, access anything through any choice of platforms, anywhere, anyhow, anytime. Easily discoverable by anyone, as Beckon is here to enable open and decentralized digital ecosystems. Beckon protocol is open source, aiming to create equal opportunities, equal roles, spark innovation, and inspire more startups and individuals to come together to build futuristic vision and to create an inclusive world. The idea was born on November 19, 2018. Beckon Foundation, the genesis author of Beckon Protocol specification and the angel donor for its evolution, was incorporated on September 13, 2019, starting with mobility, expanding to final mile delivery, and then retail, and finally to any digital ecosystems, starting from health through decentralized health protocol, education and skilling through decentralized skills and education protocol. And Beckn protocol has now expanded across domains. So far, this is the development achieved through the contribution of handful of pioneers within the community over the past 3.5 years. ONDC is a dot in this world of infinite possibilities. Let us all imagine what we could all together achieve if hundreds of us now come together to beckon a world of better and equal opportunities. That thought is exactly what led to the idea of Beckn Open Collective. And I know that each one of you have filled up a form wherein you shared with us as to what your idea is of the collective and what you think about the collective. So we heard a lot of words and there were some interesting analogies that came up. Some of you equated it to the freedom struggle, which was for political freedom, and this being equivalent to the technological freedom. And we heard about how it equates to the efforts made in the direction of decentralization. We heard about how you heard about this through ONDC, and a lot of you told that it's all about collaboration, networking. I've also put together a few of the responses that we got from the volunteers right here. If any of you are here on the call, please do feel free to unmute yourself and share your thoughts. So here you're seeing the perspectives shared by Shruti, Dharmesh Bajpai, Rajiv Nair, Kumar Maheta, and Prakash. So many interesting perspectives about there about what is Beckn Open Collective, and we loved so many of them, and we'd love to know from you as well. Would any of you like to unmute yourself and tell us what you feel? I think Shruti had an interesting analogy wherein this is an effort wherein tech and non-tech work can be married seamlessly. I think that was very interesting.
Hi, sorry, I'm actually having some technical difficulties. I'll be short and quick. So thanks for arranging this call, guys. It's quite exciting to be here because when I heard the concept of the Beckn Collective, it was something that I didn't know that like you could actually be a part of. Because when you think of these kind of foundations, you only think of people who are like engineers or someone who can come and contribute to building something. But having been part of the tech policy scene, I'm actually quite excited to be here. And yes, I see this as an opportunity for both the tech and non-tech to work together and even lobby for policies that would benefit India at large. So I guess that's just my 2 cents.
Thank you so much, Shruti. Thank you for sharing that. Amit, I see you've raised your hand. Please hold on with us for 2 more minutes. We'll open the floor very soon. We have a very interesting video to share with you all. Quickly sharing a short video that tries to summarize what truly is the essence of the collective. Here it is.
In what will go down in history as the greatest demonstration for freedom in the history of our nation.
That was Beckn Open Collective's intro for you all. I hope this video inspired each one of us just the same. Now, opening the floor for all of us to share any initial thoughts that you may have. What are your expectations from the community? What is your understanding so far? Any initial thoughts? Would anyone like to share anything? Yes, Amit. Amit, we're unable to hear you in
Yeah,
case.
hi, Shweta.
Hi, Amit. Yeah.
Yeah, would you like me to speak out a little bit?
Sure, sure. Please go ahead.
Okay, well, I hope probably few might have know me. It's Amit Kumar Saad, founder CEO of called Book Bargain Buy. So the program, what we thought like ONDC is going to take unique bargaining feature, which we have tried to integrate in our platform called Book Bargain Buy. And I understand like at the moment nobody else like apart from 2 3 applications which are initiating to go for a bargain feature for end use customers so that it can directly bargain with the sellers. So but my initiative was started in last year May in 2021.
Amit, I think there is some audio related issues at your end.
So right now I'm doing years with this platform, and so that I am also visible and the book bargain unparalleled e-com sector. Hello.
Yes, yes, 100%, Amit. So, so glad that you've now started your ONDC journey as well through the ONDC Slack channel just yesterday. Um,
Yeah.
we will take all of these
Yeah.
questions. I see there's another question coming up.
Yeah. No worries. You can take care,
Yes.
brother.
Now,
Yeah. I just
yes,
finished mine. Okay.
yes,
Thank you.
thank you. Thank
Yeah.
you. And the next question is around being regarding the agro circuit. Naman, so my understanding is you want to join the ONDC network from the agro domain, right? Yeah, awesome, awesome. So we will share the link through which you can join the ONDC Slack channel, where you can keep yourself updated to all the progress that is happening within ONDC, and you'll be able to join their community calls and start your journey as being a part of the network for ONDC as well. Yes, Manoj. Yes.
Hey Shweta, just a quick question. Are you guys doing anything, using Beckn solve the local employment problem, find local employment, and
That's an
because
interesting use.
there's the employment issue, severe
Yes,
employment issue, right? Yeah.
absolutely. I think that's a very interesting use case. So far, I think we are yet to explore that in depth. I think we also have Anirban, Bharat. They can also, Shrikant, they can also correct me if I'm wrong. Just look, yes, Anirban, go ahead. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hey Manoj. Like Shweta said, it's a really interesting case, and yes, we have
Yeah.
actually taken a shot on it. So probably you have heard about the Desh stack being built up. So not sure about the timelines, but we are not necessarily into employments. So it's we are looking
Mm-hmm.
into the whole chain of skill building to employment. So it's like a pipeline, right? So not necessarily for
Mm-hmm.
employment,
Mm-hmm.
you will look into skills, whether there can be verifiable credentials on skills. You don't need to carry a certificate everywhere. They can just verify it on the network. So we have something in vision. So yes, that is also being
Hey,
explored. If you want
can you, sorry, Anibal, I missed that. What's the stack?
Desh, Desh, Desh stack.
D
I'll just
E.
put it in the chat.
Okay, yeah, that will help. Yeah,
Yeah,
thank you.
I think Anirban Anand might be able to throw more light
Right.
on the DSP.
Yeah, hi everybody. Good afternoon. I was just saying that we have that use case also in the DSCP community, which is decentralized skilling and education portal. We also are
Mm-hmm.
looking after livelihood, and one of the key use cases is looking for job opportunities. And so please look up on the DSCP community, join us, and we can talk more.
Yes.
So it's a separate protocol, or is it like a similar protocol as Beckon has currently for retail and other stuff?
So for the discovery part, we will be using backend protocol only.
Okay, got it. That helps. Thank you.
Manoj, you can find the DSP working community within the Beckn Open Collective Discord server itself. so you
Sure.
can follow developments through that. So
Sure,
thank
I
you.
will look around. Thank you, Shweta. Thank you.
All right. So moving ahead, this is the hope with Beckn Open Collective, that we try to bring all the open networks under one umbrella, wherein we can help all of us progress forward in our missions to enable ourselves with Beckn protocol and to proceed forward to contribute to this mission. Right, and there are a few areas that I've tried to display here, wherein we are trying to do a lot of things, and we're inviting each one of us here to join us to open the doors to the future of a strong digitally powered world, opening digital economy to all. And the most common question we have been hearing is how. How do I join? May it be ONDC? How do I join, Desh Stack? So all of these questions, right? We'll address each of them one by one. And today we'll start with talking about few of the projects that are ongoing within the foundation and how each of us can come together to shape this various initiatives that are already in progress. And here's a view of that. First and foremost, we are looking for community builders, those who can join this initiative, Beckn Open Collective, to try to shape this community for the better, right? People who can join us within outreach or onboarding or engagement and help shape this and develop maybe a volunteer recognition program, lead groups of volunteers within this itself. So if somebody is interested in a new use case which hasn't been explored yet, trying to lead a bunch of other volunteers who may also be interested in the same and try to drive efforts in that direction. If there is a volunteer out here interested and looking to contribute in the design space, more than happy to help set up all the requirements that you may need to drive the same under this open community. And in case you'd like to experiment with the new technology, try to see how it will work with Beckn protocol, more than happy to help set that up as well. We'll be floating a Google form wherein all of these projects, if you're interested, you can always let us know through that one Google form. So all of the other projects as well will be linked to the same. I'm quickly sharing the form link here. That's the form. So any projects that will be discussed, any areas of contribution that will be discussed through this meeting, you can always let us know that you'd be interested to take it up through that form. And yes, you're more than welcome to join us through your own initiatives to tell us what you would like to lead under Beckn Open Collective and what you would like to do. There is a field for that as well. And if you would be liking to see yourself in my place leading or moderating a call, please let us know about that as well. The next Beckn Open Collective talk can be hosted by you. There is a field to let us know about that within the Google form. Please do take a look at it and let us know. And we know that there are members out here who've already been writing blogs and concept papers around the implementations of Beckn protocol. And we are inviting more participation in the same domain. We're looking for evangelists of Beckn, like all of us here, to come forward and join and form a micro community within Beckn Open Collective, wherein we can drive more of such initiatives and we can have more talks from the volunteering community for the Beckn Open Collective volunteers. So in case you're interested to join us in that domain, please let us know about that as well. Here's another interesting area wherein we're looking for contributions. Anirban, over to you for this.
Hey, thank you, Shweta. I'm audible, right?
Yes, you are. Yes.
Thank you. So, hi everyone. Really excited to be here to be presenting this to everyone. I hope you guys are equally excited. So, a quick, recap on what is happening here. So, with all the current state of affairs, like KOMN, the Kochi Open Mobility Network is up and running. ONDC is in its beta live. We have DHP, DSAP, everything lined up. So we believe it's time for Beckn to go global, right? So even in our community engagements and individual discussions, we have seen multiple interest nodes across the states of Europe, USA, Poland, many places, right? So we think we should start building up something in the global ecosystem as well, and not keeping it right only within the national boundaries. So as a part of that, we are thinking of a twofold process. So first of all, it is first we need to find use cases and adaptive spaces to create open networks where there are seamless possibilities, not only in mobility or commerce. It can be anything like Reddit, healthcare, skill, anything. So as Beckon complies with more than 5 of the sustainability development goals that have been set by UN, so Beckon aligns very strongly with at least 5 of them. There are more where we are also kind of bit of aligned. So I think there are many use cases around the world which we can try to solve at least. So with that, we want Beckon to be at first well known by at least a part of the global communities, right? So hence we are looking for continuous search of international forums and stages where we can talk about Beckon. So with that, we want what is the goal of that? The goal of the same is to do a globalization of the concept, to create cross-border ecosystem. So that's like the moonshot, to create a cross-border ecosystem. Now, if we take a step back, that can be broken into 2-3 parts. One is we have to first evangelize Beckon in international forums, and we have to reflect on the responses. And why I say reflect on the responses? Because contextual applications have their own nuances, right? So through continuous feedback and research only, we can understand what are those contextualities, and accordingly we can actually proceed. So that's the idea. Where we stay on that. We have recently submitted proposals to Asia Pacific Regional Internet Governance Forum. So their theme this year is inclusiveness, sustainability, and trust. So we think Beckon highly aligns, have a great synergy with all of these 3 dimensions. So we have submitted a proposal to be a part of it. We are also getting involved with the India FOSS, the free open source software. I think many of you guys are already a part of it. People like Kailash and Venkatesh Hariharan, they are also part of that community. So that's the idea. So Shweta, if you can go to the next slide. Yeah, with that, where do we need help? So it's very crisp and clear. Our international strategy is still in a work in progress phase. So we are still trying, building, breaking, and trying again. So there is a huge scope to be a part of that journey. With your understanding of the international needs, platforms, communities, rules and regulations, wherever you are interested in, we can co-create our move. So we are open to feedback, we are open to advices and opinions, and that is our goal. So anybody who are interested in that part can join us, and it doesn't end there only. Like we said earlier, we will also need people to hunt for the international forums and stages. So again, it won't only stop at the hunting. So if people are interested, you can actually help us to put up the pitches, the proposals, the submissions that we make, and you can even go and talk about Beckon there as a as a representative of the Beckon community, open communities, right? So it's a continuous process. We will need people there. So anybody who is interested, I will say that anybody who is interested can join. But if I were in your shoes, probably I will look for, there are like 5-7 projects up there. So probably people who have some interest in international relations and idea about the internet communities, forums, how they think, how they behave, how they interact, will probably find most synergy here. So people with such interest can anytime join, but it is still open for everyone. So the form will be same, like Shweta said. It will be the same Google form. It is already in the chat. You can use that and show your intention. Thanks, Shweta.
Thank you so much, Anirban. So this community is for each one of us. Like, we request all of you to come forward, let us know where you would like to contribute. These are the areas wherein you can definitely shine. Apart from this, we want to make sure that every member of the community has a platform wherein they can share their experience. They know that if at all they're stuck anywhere in realizing their ideas, the ideas that they resonate with the most, if at all they are stuck anytime, there is a community to help them out. There is a way for all the members within Beckn Open Collective to learn new skills and grow their own learning experience as well. And this would also be one place wherein we get to interact with other professionals from various other open networks and also from various domains. So this is one of the areas wherein you can also come forward to contribute. And in the same way, here's another area. Back to you, Anirban.
Thanks, Shweta. So I didn't realize it was right after this. So okay, this project basically comes from a dimension that we call here is yak shaving. Okay, so yak shaving generally get used in a very negative connotation, but we are trying to take the good out of it. So yak shaving is basically about solving a problem, finding another problem within that, finding another roadblock within that, and so on, till the point you go and trace back to the original problem. We think that yak shaving is a very good way to get job done. So with that, next slide, please, Shweta. So with that, we will go for this project. So what is this project? This project, when we went for in-depth discussions and with the communities, we found out that there are many obstacles. We did the RCS, we found another, and so on. With those multiple branches out, we found at one point we found that there are last mile field operators. We are calling them field community, who are basically the farmers, the drivers, the retailers who are acting on the field. So the end goal is to make an inclusive ecosystem of everyone, right? It's not about including the applications, including the platforms or so. It's about including the end users, and that is true for both sides, so the buyer side and the seller side both. So we saw there is a huge lack of capability in the seller side, where they have to stay at the mercy of people, mercy of application, mercy of companies and platforms to be a part of the network, and that is what we are trying to break. So the idea here is we are trying to build a model or a framework for a more resilient and sustainable field community. That can be something like a digital cooperative, that can be something like some other institution as well. So we have not yet decided on the form or the shape. So something that will enable these field communities to come to the network, be digitally equipped, and be enabled to do business on their own. So with that, once the framework is established, the next step will be to build, do a POC kind of through a few of the pilots. Maybe in one use case can be the driver use cases of Kochi, one use case can be the farmer use cases of Karnataka. There can be the ARDU units in Bangalore. That can be another use case as well. So we are yet to identify those use cases, but this is a really exciting project where people can come in who has any type of interest, can actually find some way in. It can be somewhere around project program management, it can be somewhere around tech development, it can be anything where you can contribute in any part of the project. So the flow will be, like I said, identifying the scopes, identifying the problem, building a modular framework, and then doing a pilot. Okay, so it's an end-to-end project. So anyone who is interested to be a part of that can be filling up the form. And frankly speaking, the project is in a very early stage, so it's more like work in progress. We're still finding out whether digital cooperatives would be the right solution or something else. So yep, open to opinions and feedbacks.
Thanks, Anirban. The next project, or the next area of contribution wherein you can work with us for a very interesting pioneering project. More about that, over to you, Shrikant.
Hey, thanks, Shweta. Hey, everyone. So this is a new project that is built on Beckn protocol. But I think the industry is something very exciting. It is something that we get to play in the future. As most of you are aware, pollution is an extremely big challenge for this generation and the current generation. It impacts climate, it impacts the next generations. So EV vehicles have been touted as a solution to kind of reduce the climate impact of using automobiles. In fact, I think in that space, India per se is actually touted to be one of the leaders. As per a recent Niti Aayog report, about 80% of two-wheelers and about 50 to 60% of 3 and 4-wheelers in India will be fully electric. So we are almost in the next 8 to 10 years, we'll pretty much, in business terms, phase out ICE vehicles. So it's an exciting rising tide, right? But as always, this is also made up of this is a two-sided ecosystem. So on the one hand, you have people who have to buy electric vehicles, and the biggest challenge is not the purchase of them and the manufacture of them, but providing less anxious experience of charging, which is equivalent of fuel stations. If you look at 100 years back, people hesitated buying automobiles because there weren't enough fuel stations, right? So there is that challenge going on aside from the manufacturing challenge. On the other side, what's happening is there are people who are seeing this small businesses. This includes actually kirana stores, medical shops, and very small SIM card operator type shops who are seeing this as an opportunity that, hey, if we take a local uh, pin code in a particular city, as a small business person, I can pay X amount of money and get an EV charging station, and now I start making money on consumers who walk in and charge their electric vehicles. So there is this is a very classic two-way ecosystem, like how there is ONDC on retail and similarly in health and all the other discussions, skills, for example, if we talked about. So EV is a very exciting use case in that sense. So the business challenge in front of us is how do we create this two-way economy where more number of on the one hand we look at demand and one hand we look at supply. In demand, obviously, it's a function of how many vehicles are owned and creating the consciousness for that, for people to own more EV vehicles, and more importantly for those who already have, to reduce the so-called post-purchase dissonance. How do we tell them that, hey, there are actually quite a few number of charging points right next to you? So using the latest UX technologies, it's pretty much like finding an Uber, right? Like you go in a app, you find out, you put in your model number, you should be able to find out that, okay, 800 meters away from you, there is this little kirana store, which actually has a charging point for your vehicle. So on the one hand, that's demand, but the other part, there is supply. So there are people who already have charging points, and more number of people are seeing having a charging point on your premises as a business investment, which provides you regular returns because it's fuel end of the day. So one of the cities that's pioneering this whole effort is Delhi. And obviously, there's a very clear, obvious reason for Delhi. I think for all cities in India, it's probably the city that most impacted by pollution. And that there is a will from the government of Delhi also to take up this as their key point of serving Delhi. So within Delhi, there are quite a few charging points. There are also startups which are working in this space, but most of them have been, again, working very independently in silos. So the goal is to kind of create an open network of EV charging points in two major use cases. The way typically it works in EV is you either go and charge your battery in your car, like how you'd fill fuel in a tank, or you just go swap the battery for a new battery. There are both. I can share the details of the use cases, on the Discord channel. But broadly, at a very high level, these are two use cases. So, and this has been a conversation that's been going on for a few months now. We've been looking at, and they're quite excited at an intent level to build this using Beckn protocol. So they see clear value in it, the government of Delhi. So we're working with a couple of entities to actually get this whole thing rolling. But obviously, right now it's just a very small handful of us, and there are quite a few areas where we could actually get a lot of community volunteers from here. Those who are passionate about clean energy, those who believe the EV revolution, and this is a opportunity not just to play in technology or marketing, but I think even from a policy point of view. There is obviously an EV level policy, but then there's also, we also need to create the market. So this is like a creation of a market type of exercise. So irrespective of where your skill sets lie, whether it's in operations, program management, technology, policy making, it's a very powerful area that I would invite you all to join. So and we are trying to do a pilot, and even more exciting, this is something that we are trying to do in the short term. This is not like a 1 year project. We have to prove that such a network can be built, and then livelihoods can be created from this. So somewhere in September, October, the idea is to launch a pilot in Delhi. So there are several areas of volunteer contribution. Again, this is very, very rudimentary, right? There could be many more areas which I haven't thought of. But broadly, what we could see is, so and I have listed down the areas of contribution and try to map it with what type of skill set you could have and make the best of it. For example, if you're an architect, then there is a whole mapping at a very core technological level that we need to do for an existing communication method that charging points actually use, and that's called OCPI. And we need to map it to Beckn so that all those charging hardware stations are compatible with Beckn, and they can be discovered by any consumer who is on a system, on an open network. So there's quite a bit of a tech play, including development of applications and all of that for architects and developers. Then obviously EV as is still a nascent industry. While there's obviously quite a bit of talk in the media, it's still quite a nascent industry, which means business workflows, what we see in the EV market today are like literally level 1, and they will have to become more sophisticated, much like how e-commerce, the early business workflows in 1990s were rudimentary, but then they have matured so much today, right, to get to a population scale. So, and given that, what we do here, either at ONDC, Beckn, we try to build it right the first time and plan for all the possible future use cases that come in. So this is not just a very simple business case use case writing exercise. We need to think deeper. So those of you who are interested in creating business workflows, who can bring in that aspect of both the policy as well as have a very strong business background, probably can contribute in creating what could be futuristic way of simplifying interaction between a EV vehicle owner and a charging point station provider. Then even the user experience for example, to get the charging point operators onto a digital system. Most of these guys, like I mentioned, the challenge here is similar to an ONDC kind of stuff. They could be Kirana stores who just see it as a viable business opportunity. So they may not be tech savvy in the sense of how all of us on call here are. So there's quite a bit of building for Bharat over here. So those of you who are interested in making it easy for Kirana stores and small, really small, independent, it could even be independent entrepreneurs, right? Technically, your maidservant working in your home could have a charging point in her building. So it creates tremendous amount of business opportunity for really micro players. But again, technologically, we have to design systems in such a way that it is easy for them and it is not a very complex, like an SAP kind of a big technical system, right? So there is quite a bit of work on research and user experience workflows. Then obviously marketing, and those of you who are interested in marketing, messaging, and brand building, very powerful brand building narrative opportunity exists both on the buyer side, the vehicle owners, and the charging point operator side. How do we encourage more people to join the network and transact with each other? So it's not going to happen just because there's an open network. We need to create the narrative, and the overarching narrative is obviously EV. That it exists. That's an anti-narrative of fossil fuels, but at a ground level on a day-to-day basis, that narrative might not always fly, and we'll have to modify and tweak the narrative in several different ways to appeal to several different segments. So that's one opportunity for those of you who are interested in marketing and brand building. Then there is obviously a lot of play to provide infrastructure, like a gateway or a registry, or creating BAP, buyer side applications, or BPP applications. There's tremendous amount of contribution that can be done by someone who can build open source systems across all these 4 major infrastructure components that are required for an open network to run. And obviously, I mentioned before that policy creation, a network level policy creation is a very powerful area, because policy drives the direction of the implementation itself. So pretty much, I mean, these are 5-6 areas that I could see, but clearly I'm guessing there will at least be 9-10 more. But the idea is to kind of put together, as Shweta mentioned, a micro community of people who are passionate about building EV networks and making sure both sides, the consumers who have EV vehicles have lesser anxiety when it comes to making sure their vehicles are more reliable for them, which is they're always charged up, and the charging point operators, the small business guys, the micro business guys, or it could even be a startup, they have a sound business model. And really what we're doing is like a matching supply and demand. So that's why there's a very front and center Beckn use case. So quite excited about it, and we're going for the pilot in the next 3 to 4 months. So quite a bit of action will happen in the next 3 to 4 months and beyond, obviously. And Delhi is just one city. Once we do this for Delhi, we can pretty much do this internationally for any other city. So I'm quite excited about it and looking forward to hearing from you all on the call, and anyone else who's not on the call too, who would like to be part of building like a SWAT team to make this happen. In any area of contribution that's either listed, or if you think that there are some areas of contribution that you could come in, and we can figure out how that adds up. As I mentioned, at this point, it's just a very handful of people who have this idea and working towards it. But it'll be great to build it together. So looking forward to some comments and thoughts from anyone on the call who has been in this sector or is keen on this.
Thank you, Shrikant. I see Mayur raising his hand. Mayur, over to you.
Yeah, question to
Hands
Shrikant.
always one.
Sorry, Amit.
No problem. No problem.
Okay.
I can wait. If somebody else want to take it, I can wait. No problem.
Okay, yeah. So question for Shrikant. Have you started working with any EV charger providers yet?
Yeah, so we are in discussions with some of the, again, EV charging are both, right? Battery swapping companies, as well as companies which are trying to aggregate. These are startups like Kazam, Sun Mobility, Electrify. There are 3-4 startups in this space. Again, like I said, so we had some technical discussions with them. We are also trying to figure out how to bring them onto an open network because most of them today operate in silos. So yes, the discussions are going on with them, but then they are techno-managerial in one sense, right? So we have to figure out the technicality of how to integrate. At the same time, how does even the business model work? Right? So commercial model, business model. So we are in discussions, but we are looking to actually talk to more so that there enough number of players, like I said, both startups, also government approved providers who go and install charging point stations at all these medical shops, kirana stores, and all of that. And we also want to actually expand for those of you who have the research bandwidth in this space. I also want to go talk to, and I would be doing that too, and it'll be great if people can join me, work with me on that. Probably talk to some of these folks, not the startups alone, but even the folks who have installed a EV charging station in the hope that that brings a recurring business, right? From their point of view, they might be a very small store and they have a charging point. It's a technical system they have, and they're looking at people coming and getting transactions. So probably talk to some of them also to gain an understanding of what is actually happening in the market. But yeah, so these are discussions. They've all commenced in the last 3 to 4 weeks, to be honest, a very early stage, hyper early stage, about 2 to 3 startups, and we're yet to speak to any actual charging point owners who buy from some of these startups and put up charging systems.
Okay, great initiative, Shrikant. Thank you for that answer.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mayur. I think Amit had a point, right? Amit?
I got the answer about that.
Okay.
So,
Thank you.
I will take on sometime later.
Sure, Amit. Sure.
Thank you.
And I think Manoj also had a point. Manoj, I saw you were raising your hand.
Yeah,
earlier.
Shweta, I was just thinking, EV charging, I know today is a problem. But as the infrastructure improves, as now we have petrol stations almost everywhere, will that be such a big issue, later on? So I was looking at more holistically, clean energy discovery kind of stuff. So that, if I'm looking for discovery of energy sources around me, which are clean, that to me is a more little bit a broader, challenge that, I'm solving rather than a EV charging. So I just had a point and I thought maybe it's not relevant right now. So I thought.
Well, that's an excellent point, Manoj. In fact, just a couple of things. One, obviously, while pilots always start small. So here it's very specific to EV because there is invested effort from a lot of people in the EV space, right? So it could be any form of green energy eventually, right? So, but conceptually, what we're building is an open network where we help people discover and transact, buyers and sellers of a service, right? That's one thing. Second, one, because you mentioned petrol stations and also talked about it before. I was just thinking about it after I mentioned, right? And after you talked. See, in the fuel station, petrol station is a big investment, right? So it's typically, again, it's not something like a small kirana store guy can do. It's a multi-crore investment to have a petrol station. So it's pretty much a business which has to drill a hole, buy large quantities of petrol and store it, right? And then hope that whatever petrol they have, they sell. So it is, while petrol stations exist, the numbers are actually quite small. Even if you combine all the IOC, BPCL, HPCL pumps, they're pretty small compared to what the number of EV charges will be, because EV charges have been more democratized in the sense I can have one charging point. I can share some images of some of the charging stations. If you, even in Kormangala and Bangalore, several places you will find them. Literally, it's just a set-top box kind of a thing, probably 1 feet by 1 feet and 6 inches. That's a cuboid. It's just on the wall. So, which is different from a petrol station kind of a thing, and that is, while obviously there has to be a supply everywhere, right? The supply should be so fluid that I should not feel the pain to go to a fuel station, right? But the sheer quantity, because it's more consumerized. So I think there's one startup where at 15,000 rupees you can buy a EV charger for yourself and keep it in your home, and come put yourself on the Google Map saying that my home is an EV charging station. So technically anyone can come in and do that. So it is that level of democratization, right? So it's slightly different from the fuel station, even though the concept remains the same. Is there an instant availability? Like in the age of 10-minute deliveries, they should be like, in less than few minutes, I should be able to reach out to the next closest, EV charging station. So, and that is a challenge. While the nature of the work, which is that whether it's petrol station or EV charging station, nature is that you need to discover, and it should be the closest, so that I spend the least amount of money and time and fuel reaching to the point to recharge my vehicle. Here, it just multiplies by a factor of 100 or 1,000 because it's individual consumers having it. Probably it will be more, right? Factor of 10 power 4 probably. So now at that scale, suddenly, complexity comes in, because now, let's say you're in a particular locality and there are 40,000 houses in that busy locality and 20,000 houses have EV chargers. It changes the dynamic as opposed to what a fuel station would have been, because in such a dense area, typically you would have 2 to 3 fuel stations. But here you'll have 20,000 fuel stations, and they're all at varying levels of, is it ready or not? Is it filled by someone or not? So the complexity increases. That's the beauty of this whole thing. It's like incredibly 10 power 4 kind of a complexity. Right? But the nature remains the same. It's just and that's the beauty of this, that scale suddenly changes the way we have to think of it. So if I build a regular robot,
Shrikant, I completely agree. I mean, I just thought it was a time limited opportunity. Also, just give me like 20 seconds more. I was involved with one company in solar energy space, and they used to make this solar, light, lamps and solar chargers, but primarily a rural opportunity. And I'm just thinking, since you said discovery of energy sources, in this case,
so
EV.
sorry to interrupt you. How about we set up a micro community for EVs and then take this up?
Sure. Yeah. No, sorry. I just thought.
Just in the interest of time, since we have.
Definitely.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Sure. I think, I think that's the nature of this discussion, Shweta. So it will, there's so much happening here. So let's do that, Manoj. I think we'll create a Discord channel and just talk about these things there. Yeah.
Sure.
Or we can have one more call, right, Shweta? We can have a BOC community call, micro community one. So look for your guidance on that. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
I know you also have a question. How about we take the questions towards the end? We'll quickly move to the next area of contribution. The next area is an invitation for all the developers out there. For this, over to you, Bharat.
Thanks, Shweta. We can move to the next slide. I think I explained better there. So as you all know, Beckn protocol as an open source digital public good is available, but it requires a lot of community interaction and contributions from people who are working in these specific sectors and domains to contribute to it and help us evolve it. Now, this could be as a technical version and through inputs and RFCs and stuff, but also through simple sort of updates to what APIs are already there, what schemas and attributes have been defined, and so on and so forth. Also, I think the common request from a lot of participants who've been implementing the protocol on their applications is that we do not have enough resources and documentation to help us speed up the process of our work. So this is something that we want to sort of improve, and through this particular community, invite volunteers to come in and donate some of their time and efforts to help the rest of the community and yourself through whenever you get into a particular network. So I think that's pretty much the whole concept of this small mini project that we're setting up. We right now have something called a developer documentation website with a lot of content already, but as usually happens, documentations get dated, things move, the protocol versions evolve, so we need someone who can update it and maintain a certain set of documentations. Also, as areas I've listed here, improve discussions and descriptions and examples. So there's a term called agent. I'm just giving you an example of what this would include, right? There's a term called agent in the protocol, but agent could mean a driver in the mobility domain, a delivery agent in a retail and logistics domain, and a doctor or a health service provider in the health domain. So, but this example isn't specifically listed on the protocol itself. Someone needs to think about it and figure it out before they can implement it, which is why it's taking so long. So simple things like these could add to the protocol's adoption as well. So any developers, any software engineers who are able to write simple descriptions, as well as help us build in small tools in this particular area, will be great volunteers for this section. So please feel free to nominate and reach out to me or Shweta if you're interested, and we'll reach out to you.
Thank you so much, Bharat. There are two more projects that we would like to discuss. So what we observed is right now, all the discussion with Beckn Open Collective happens on Beckn Open Collective Discord server, right? There are so many questions being asked every day, and there are so many queries that are like being resolved as well within various channels. So if there is a member out here who would like to come forward to help set up a discussion forum for Beckn Open Collective, wherein all these conversations can track, and where there be one structured place where we could access all of these knowledge bundled together, then we would love to work with them to take this initiative forward to help all the existing members and the new members of Beckn Open Collective to come together and get their queries resolved at the earliest. So there are tools that could be integrated within Discord itself, wherein the automated ways through which we can transfer the queries that are there on Discord through to other tools like maybe Discourse or anything like so. Any open source implementations that could help us set up this discussion forum, that would be great. So this is a call for any volunteer interested in that domain to come and help set up this discussion forum for Beckn Open Collective. Durga, I see you have raised your hand. Over to you. Yeah. In case you're speaking, you're on mute. Yes, Amit, I'm here also raising your hand. Just let's go one by one. We're unable to hear you, Durga. In the meantime, Amit, if you have a question.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you now, Durga. Yes.
Yeah, sorry.
Sorry,
we have been developing a messenger app, and that will be very useful for what you have just proposed. It will be open sourced, but yeah, means while being part of, when I became a part of Beckn protocol community itself, I have thought that will be a use case for this, and you have exactly named it right now. And also Srikanth has just spoke about battery charging EV stations, right? And my app will be focused, I mean, messenger will be the core part. It will be a messenger for sure, but there will be many features surrounding it. It's like in a browser there is another tab, and you can browse another page. Similarly, we will be having pages in that, and any community, whether it will be mobility or hospital, that medical services, or just like Srikanth said, EV stations, they can integrate it just with a plugin or JavaScript and CSS, and we will be having a documentation, clear-cut documentation, and they can, any platform or any community can integrate with it. And apart from that, what you have just mentioned, a dedicated messenger where you can share and share resources and point back to conversations, and we can do just that. But we are not allowed to announce that, because we are I for myself is a perfectionist, and go by first impression. So until my work is completely ready, I don't want to show it to the community. But when it is released, I will share with you, and I will point to resources where how people can get into it.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for
Thank you.
sharing that. Looking forward to check it out. You have a point.
Thank
Let's go ahead. Yes, Amit.
Me?
Yeah.
Now?
Yeah, I thought you were raising your.
Hello? Yeah, Shweta, it's my turn. Yeah, I was raising one concern. Like we are talking about autonomy, we are enabling the autonomy between customers and sellers. Like what we understand about the ONDC and the basic route. Okay. But now we are trying, but how do customer really rely? How like it is a thing like we are going to be in an ecosystem where like people are going to search, they're going to get to know that this product being sold or this services or this charge station is there. How it going to be on a mobile or base where customer comes to know? I'm not about clear about that actually. First of all, how it will going to operate on the screen and how anybody will be aware about the how ONDC is going to work, which I needed to know as a customer point of view, how it is going to enable the customer to negotiate between the right sellers, choose the right seller at the nearest right seller. That is what like I was feeling to know about that. You know.
Absolutely, Amit. I see we have Sujit on the call. Over to you, Sujit.
Oh, Shweta, thank you. No, I was just trying to see if I can make an attempt to respond to Amit in the time that's available. But Amit, one thing is this probably requires a longer explanation, and we should definitely catch up in on Discord separately. But also there is an Ask Me Anything kind of a session that I think the collective, the team Shweta is putting together.
Sure. I will wait for that. I'll connect you.
But I think there
Yeah.
are multiple ways to sort of address this. There's no one way. There are multiple ways. So things like reputation at a network level, trust in some other forms, metadata for filtering, for easy filtration based on location attributes, things like that. So I mean, it requires a slightly longer detailing of explanation, but let's do that offline. But
No worries.
there's a way OIDC is trying to solve, or other networks are trying to solve. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Sujit. Thank you, Amit. The last area of contribution that I'd quickly like to take up is if any of you are interested to help us out in the UX domain, if you're UX enthusiast and if you'd like to come forward to help improve the user experience within openkochi.net, we are more than happy to take it up. And we would love to know your feedback and your inputs on this particular website. This is a website which is of key value for Kochi Open Mobility Network, and we would love to work with any interested volunteers on this domain as well. Again, the interest can be registered within the same form. And I know we're already out of time. We had one quick agenda. Shweta, quickly over to you.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Shweta. I just wanted to, I'm sure that if we are here, you have partially been onboarded. I'm hoping that everyone is on Discord. If not, please join. The link is available on the website itself, becknprotocol.io. And while you are here, I just wanted to make sure that there's a certain number of steps that we need to complete to ensure that we are completely onboarded, or the onboarding journey is complete. And these are just a few action items that you can take into consideration to ensure. And all of these is accessible in one place, which is the welcome channel on the welcome kit channel on the Discord. So if you go into Discord, you find a welcome channel and all of the links are here. So this is, I think you have already gone through the website, but I think a lot of FAQ kind of a question that come to us, it would be answered if we all go to the website in details. And I think the second one is a repeat, but it actually, I think that's a mistake, but it's supposed to be for you to be able to check out the blog, which has basically a documentation around certain topics that have super relevant for a community to know. Then we have live projects, some of which that have been discussed in the call. But if you go to the welcome channel, there's dedicated page for all projects where you can take a deeper look at it. And then there's also a series of technical know-how videos. It's a technical onboarding videos, which you can take a look at. It's slightly longer, so you might have to plan for it. And I think it might be at times it might be a little outdated in terms of in terms of not being in line with the speed at which it is updated. So we are trying to have a regular update. It's getting updated again by the end of this month. So bear with us on that, but it still is a very good place for us to be able to familiarize ourselves with the protocol and how it works and the basics of it. Then there's GitHub and DevDocs, which DevDocs is again part of a website, and GitHub is more for developers, more specifically for developers. And I would recommend or request everyone to follow us on all social media platforms, which has a lot of blurbs and announcement in terms of what's happening in the other aspects or in the other tracks that we are not maybe heavily involved in. So please follow us on the social media platforms. We are very active on LinkedIn and Twitter, and there is an Instagram as well. And tell us more about yourself. There's a form which invites you to kind of fill up. It won't be like a mandatory step, but it's really nice to know more about you, because that gives us more understanding in terms of how we can team you up or how we can map you with the right initiatives and the right sub communities and community members when something new is being planned or something is in progress. It gives us a better understanding of your profile. So that's pretty much it. Thanks a lot, Shweta. Back to you.
Thank you so much, Shweta. I see a question. Do you guys have an Instagram account? Yes, we do. You can find the link to that as well in the Welcome On Board channel. Do tune in, do follow us there as well. Thank you so much, Shweta, for giving us all of these details. And yes, coming to the end, like although we have listed like a lot of initiatives wherein you can join us to contribute in various of these open network initiatives, you can also start your own initiative under Beckn Open Collective. This is a community, an open community for each of you here to come forward. Let us know that you're taking up this initiative so that we can support you through the journey. There is a section for the same within the form as well. And if you would like to be conducting the next Beckn Open Collective talk, we would love to know about that too. That's all for now, and I'll open the discussion for any questions or any other thoughts anybody would like to share. I know we're already out of time, but if there's anything, we could take that up. Yes, Raman.
Hi.
Hi.
I have just one question. Like, it's difficult to find for an sandbox available or an developer environment available. Where can I go and directly test my applications?
Yes.
Or even so that's a major challenge which I face when starting for developing for the Beckn application. Another solution can be like if we have some open source application like a Docker Compose or some files that I can just run on my local machine, where I can have all the respective components set up and I just test it on my local machine. That will be also very helpful.
Yes. Great. Raman, just one quick question. Which domain is your implementation in?
Okay, currently we are looking in the mobility sector as a professional company. So, but I want to build for like a personal project on the e-commerce sites as well.
Okay, got it. We can connect on this later as well, because we do have some infrastructure available for testing. So I'll also connect you with Vrishali so that we can see where are the gap areas and how we can improve that better. So I'll do that. Thank you so much for that, Raman.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? All right. Yes, I see one. Yes, Durga. Yes, let's quickly take your question. I think this would be the last question, but any other question, please do add it on the Google form that we have shared earlier. I'll also share the same Google form after this meeting. Over to you, Durga. In case you're speaking, you're not audible right now.
Hello.
Yes.
Yeah. As I am from UI UX background, I am asking images and videos are very important for any community to work, right? Any field.
Yes.
So suppose take ONDs for example, and buyer uploads, seller uploads their inventory, its images and videos, and the seller requests for that data. So will there be any content delivery networks that can where the links to the images and videos can be linked from the schema, or it has to come from just the BPP? Because I'm asking about the time lag it takes for the gateway to deliver the complete information data from BPP to BAP. That's it.
Okay, got it. You're asking how will we render the images onto a BAP from a BPP, right?
How will we handle the delay or lag? Means the schema data, text data will be arrived very soon. That can be arrived very soon, but the images and videos may take a time, may take a while. So how will the gateway package all the information from various BPPs and give it to the BAP at once, or will there be any content delivery networks where images and videos will be prefetched and stored in a database, so it will be very quick for the user to get access to the images and videos?
Absolutely. Got your question, Durga. I think Sujit has, yeah, over to you, Sujit. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I would request others to also sort of answer. But I think one answer that I can give is yes, I think it's a great idea. I think some of the things that I see already happening on ONDC and other such networks is the creation of what is called as a Beckn aware solutions, as SDKs, algorithms, and solutions that can build on, which can probably optimize the whole search experience, which has rich media and other things doing in it. And I think that's an area where even the collective here can contribute to ideas, solutioning of those ideas, either open source or in whichever way you want to do it. I think it's definitely a case we should look at. And search, optimizing the search data stream, whether it's search or the search responses. It's a great playground of opportunities where a lot can be done. And I think that's an area where I think we can't even imagine what's going to happen in that space when we have a whole copious amount of liquidity coming on the supply and demand side. And that's an area that's going to be ripe with opportunities. And yes, certainly we should start thinking about it. We're calling it sort of the Beckn accelerator solutions, which kind of accelerate the adoption of Beckn and also kind of build these innovative experiences on top of the protocol adoption. And that's an area where even collective here can demonstrate some good examples and imagination for the rest of the world to look at. Thank you.
Thank you.
Traideep, yes, if you have a question, let's take this one. But after that, we'll move it to the questionnaire and we'll answer it during the AMA session that will be conducted during the early July month. Traideep, over to you.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, so since the performance case comes into play, so I just want to know, will the backend protocol will have some caching logic?
Sorry, could you?
Results? Will the backend protocol will have some caching logic, caching the data,
okay,
like we have for CDN and all?
Okay.
Yeah, Trideep, great question there. And maybe, I don't know if Ravi is on the call, he can also button. I think when you say logic, there are two parts to it. What happens is protocol as an asynchronous sort of an API interaction allows for certain sort of policies to be implemented, baked into the interaction, which allows for caching as a feature to be enabled. It may not offer caching logic per se, but it can say, hey, if I'm a seller with a catalog that is searchable by a buyer app on the other end, my catalog, you can probably prefetch my catalog and keep it at your level. But that catalog, you should make sure you refresh it. I am defining a policy of time to live for that caching. Say if I keep it live for half a day or 1 day or 1 week, or maybe if I'm a restaurant, I may not be changing my catalog every day. But if I'm a grocery store, I may not be changing my catalog often. So probably I'll keep a time to live caching policy of 1 month or 1 week. So those are things which allows for configurability of caching as a provision either end.
But implementing the caching feature itself is left to the respective platforms. And I don't think protocol would come in the way of saying what is the architecture or logic for caching at your end. So I don't think the protocol will address that, but it can definitely set some configurability conditions to be communicated between the data provider, the catalog provider, and the person who's caching that data. I hope that offers some clarity through the API.
Yeah, correct. So I was just trying to implement those sort of things. So is this required from our side or backend will do that part? So I got the answer now. Yeah, thank you.
Great, thank you.
Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you for joining in this call. Thank you for spending your time with us. And I hope to have you all continue to be a part of this collective movement where we're working together, working with each other to build an open digital world. Let's build this future of better and equal possibilities together. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.